All right, everyone. So now that we kind of have the basics of how to load in an image into the Photopea program, let's learn how we could do some very basic manipulations to images. So there's going to be times that we want to possibly scale down the size of an image, resize an image. Okay. So this has to do with the dimensions of an image. And we'll talk more about how you can create your own images with specific dimensions, but when we measure images digitally, meaning on a computer screen, the dimensions are always going to be are going to be measured in pixels. Okay, if you're printing to analog, then it may be measured in something like metric, like centimeters, or Royal system like inches. But anything on a computer is always going to be measured in pixels. So, for instance, let's say you have an image that's 1200 pixels by 500 pixels, right? How that relates to your screen depends on the dimensions of your screen. So, for instance, if I had a screen, let's say this is my computer screen, and my computer screen is, I don't know, let's say 1920 by 600, and my dimensions of my image are 1200 by 500, then, it would fit accordingly. This is not to scale, but, you get kind of the idea. This is like 1200 by 500. It would fit accordingly on your screen. Now, keep in mind that everyone's computer screen could be different dimensions. There is no sort of one computer dimension screen, right? So if my screen is 1920, this is a laptop, right, which has a bigger screen than, say, for instance, something like here, where the screen size is going to be smaller, or even something even smaller, like maybe like an iWatch or something like that. So keep in mind that there is sort of no official dimensions for any screen. There are many different size screens you can have for a digital device like a computer. So there are going to be times we want to possibly resize an image to be bigger or smaller. What I'm going to do is I'm going to open up exercise 1 through 4. You can actually just hold down Shift to highlight multiple files, and I'm going to hit Open. All right, so I want to look at the dimensions of my image here just to get an idea of how big it is. So the way you can do that very easily in Photopea is going under the Image menu and going to where it says Image Size. So under Image Size, I get a little dialog box here, and it tells me the dimensions of my image, 1200 by 600 pixels. Okay. Let's hypothetically say I want the image to be smaller. Maybe I don't want the image to take up so much space on my computer screen. So I want it to maybe be like 600 by 300. What I could do is if I go here in my image size dialog box, I'm going to click on width and just change the number. I'm going to change it to 600. If I hit tab, you'll actually see that this stays locked. So the aspect ratio, the 2:1 ratio, is actually staying locked. That's actually set up right here. So if I actually undid that, then I could technically affect one without affecting the other. I don't necessarily recommend that when you start, because you may end up squashing or stretching the photo, which probably is not necessarily your intention. So I'm making it smaller. To finalize what I've done, hit OK. Don't worry about resample or interpolation. We're not going to worry about that right now. I'm going to hit OK, and the image gets smaller. Let's say I want to resize this. Well, I can go to Image, Image Size. Keyboard shortcut, by the way, if you're interested, this is the Option or Alt key, depending on whether you have Mac or PC. Command or Control, and then I. Currently, my image is set to 1200. Once again, like the other one, I want it set to 600. So I'm going to change this to 600. I kept this locked, so it should automatically affect my height. I'm going to hit OK, and then there you go. So this is a really nice, quick, easy way to edit the size of a photo. Sometimes we may want to crop a photo. Cropping a photo means to remove something that we don't find desirable in the photo. So here, this is example 3. And this nice, you know, kind of swamp landscape thing. And then I got kind of this ugly, I think it's a boat, picture here on the left. Kind of looks kind of ugly. And it just kind of distracts from the rest of my scene. So what I'm going to do is we're going to crop this out. The way I'm going to do that is over here in my toolbar, about 5 down from the top, something called the crop tool. Looks like 2 little L's on top of each other. What this allows me to do is crop or remove part of my image. Okay, so when you click on it, you'll notice that I have these little squares that appear. They appear in the corners and in the middle of the height and width. And if I click on them, I can kind of make them, you can see I can pull them up and down, right? And you'll also notice that when I pull them away from part of the image, this part of the image dims out. Okay, what this means is that this part is going to be cropped. So any part that's dimmed out will be cropped. Any part that is bright, that part will be kept. To finalize my crop, there's a couple ways you can do it. I can go up here and click on this little check mark, the upper right-hand corner, or I can just hit the return key. You can see I cropped my image. Keep in mind, if you didn't like what you did, you can always undo something by going to Edit and then using the Undo option. Keep in mind that when you crop an image, you're actually going to change the dimensions of it because you're throwing out part of the image. So right now, let's look at my image size. It's about 1000 by 600. I'm going to go through and crop part of this image. And I'm going to go back, and you're going to notice that it's no longer a width of 1000. Now it's about 827. And that kind of makes sense if you think about it, because it's like we're removing part of the image, so we're getting, you know, it's going to be shorter in width. Here, once again, I have this pretty picture of a landscape. I kind of want to crop out this, what do you call it? This, telephone pole here, or this, telephone pole. So I'm just going to grab the crop tool, pull this in just a smidge, even pull this down a little smidge. And there you go. Okay. Also, so keep in mind that when you bring a photo into Photopea, so let me bring back, I'm just going to bring in one of the stock photos real quick. And let's hypothetically say I made changes to it. I'm just going to crop it. And maybe just for fun, let's resize it. So I'm going to make this 800. If I want to save what I've done, I'm going to save it by going to File, and then Save as PSD. So in Photopea's default file format is the PSD, or Photoshop document. Okay. So if you're working on an image that you may want to come back to, I recommend you save it as a PSD file, and you can save it. So for instance, I'm going to save this to my files for today. I'm just going to call this, I don't know, working image. Hit save. Okay. And you can always load a PSD into Photopea. You can also actually bring it to other programs like Photoshop if you'd like. The thing about it, though, is you can't actually bring Photoshop documents into websites. Okay. Currently, there are only 3 image formats that you can actually use. I take that back. There's 4, but one doesn't have great cross compatibility. But there's currently about 3 formats that all browsers can universally accept that are raster based. So this is raster image formats for web design. The current 3 are JPEG, PNG, and the GIF or the GIF format. Okay, so right now I have my working image here. Let's say I wanted to bring this or set this up for web design. Unfortunately, as a PSD, this would not work. I could not bring it into a web project. So what I'm actually going to have to do is convert it. Photopea makes it very easy to convert photos. So under File, instead of Save as PSD, you can go down to where it says Save More, or sorry, Export As is actually what I want. And I'm going to export this, so I can choose JPEG, PNG, or GIF. For most complex photos, I would probably recommend using a JPEG. That's usually the best compression for keeping the file size small. If it has transparent areas, you may want to consider using a PNG file. So I'm just going to click here. This is my image. I'm going to call this image for web. Make sure under format it says JPEG or whatever format you chose. If it's a PNG, make sure it says PNG. If it's GIF, make sure it says GIF. This is going to be the size. This is going to be my quality. I want to make sure my quality is maximum quality so that the image looks good when we bring it on a website. This is the size of the file, so it's a little bit 487 kilobytes is about a half a megabyte, give or take. I'm going to hit save, and you can see it downloaded my photo. Downloaded photos will go wherever your photos are downloaded. So for instance, if I set this up for, I'm going to take it from my downloads folder, and I'm just going to place it into our folder here. Okay, so this is my edited photo that I can bring into web development. Okay, so I want you guys to, all right, so I want you guys to try that out. I want you to try to resize images. Try using the crop tool too, and then also try saving as a PSD so that you get comfortable with that and being able to, open it back up. And also exporting it. Try saving it as one of the three formats that we talked about: JPEG, PNG, or GIF. These are the formats that we're going to be using when we export, these are the formats we need to use when we start working in web development in the next class, when we start bringing these images into an HTML file.